That part. It's Mina Mendoza, little girl, big personality, queen of motherfucking spice. We in the building today, and we got extra special spicy guests with us. We got Miss Gabi Rose in the building.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
Yes, all the vibes, all the vibes. Been a long time coming. I believe we had you on almost like 2 weeks ago. Crazy ass mix up.
Yes.
Crazy ass mix up. But I'm so glad to have you here in the present with us.
I didn't want to miss it. So here we are.
Not at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, shout out to Gabi for showing me this crazy game. So apparently, how does the game go?
Okay, so I want to start by saying I've been told that everybody in the world knows this, but apparently they don't, because nobody in the building right now knew it. So pretty much when you have a Smirnoff Ice, if you hide it and somebody finds it, or even apparently if it's given to you, you have to get down on one knee and chug the whole thing, no matter where you are. So like I was giving them the example, if my brother came home for Christmas and I wanted to like prank him right as he got home, I would put the Smirnoff Ice under his pillow, and then at 10 o'clock at night when he's about to go to bed or whatever, then he would have to drink a whole Smirnoff. So apparently not everybody knows the game, but we did play it. We didn't get to finish them though, right?
I mean, no, it was my first time having one, and I could definitely say that Smirnoff Ice is like candy juice soda.
Yeah,
it gave me candy
like
juice
really
soda
good
vibes. So yeah, like
it shouldn't be that good.
I just like, I'm in the lobby right now and I see Gabi Rose on one knee just chugging the thing. So then like now one's given to me, so now I have to do it too. Mm-hmm. So I was just like, oh shit, this is just the vibe. Smirnoff Ice, I'm not buying this no more. Everybody's
Cheers.
gonna get drunk.
I know, right?
But this is really good. Watermelon mimosa. Shout out to Smirnoff Ice.
It tastes really good with coffee too. No, I'm just kidding. This is the weirdest mix.
Yeah. I was about to say, girl. I was like, that's experimental. That's innovative right there. That's different.
Have the Smirnoff, the coffee, and the water.
I'm dead.
Which is a standard lineup, actually, like at some of my shows. Because I want to have a coffee before we start, and then somebody might give me a beer, and I'll be like, all right, I'll have a beer. But I have my water, too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm used to it.
I've been there, girl.
You know what I'm talking about.
Where it's just like you're drinking coffee, all of a sudden someone says like, oh, let's go eat. And you're like, fuck.
Yeah, you're like, okay, well, I'm not going to say no. And then you end up with just a mix of very strange flavors, but they're all doing something for you.
Facts.
So.
Facts. So let's get a little bit more into who you are. So sure. Gabi Rose, sax player, songwriter, singer. And I also noticed in your profile that you play other instruments as well.
Yeah.
It's not just saxophone. I saw you with, was it clarinet, flute?
Flute, yeah. Flute would be like my second most comfortable like woodwind instrument.
Okay.
After sax, I guess. But there's like a bunch of saxophones, right? Which I'm sure you know because of the research.
I've learned that. I was like, holy shit. There's so many of them. It's like, no, this one doesn't sound right. You need like this one and then this special tool and press this button. I was like,
exactly.
Crazy.
Yeah, there's like the alto sax, which you saw. That's like my main one. Mm-hmm. It's like standard size kind. It's like the saxophone that like kids start on, and then they might want to start playing tenor, which is the next biggest one, which just has a different sound. So I play a lot of tenor also.
Okay.
Then there's bari, which is like the much bigger one, and that's like bass notes. Like you can substitute like bass in a band with bari sax. I mean, it's a very different thing still, but that's like the space that it occupies. And then there's soprano sax, like what Kenny G played. So that's like, that's like the long. It's it looks like a clarinet kind of.
Yes.
And they're all kind of similar to like other woodwind instruments. Like that's why I was able to learn flute, semi easily. It's still different, but because they're kind of similar. Clarinet, I play like a little bit, but not so much.
So I got to get curious. When did this journey so what happened first? Singing, saxophone playing, songwriting. What happened first in your life?
I think from what my parents tell me and from what I remember, it was all kind of at the same time, to be honest, because when I was like a kid, a lot of kids, they love to just like sing and dance, and I was doing that, but I kind of I started playing a little bit of piano as a kid. Violin was my first like official instrument. So like from there, that's when I really started singing a lot more, and then I picked up saxophone a year later. I was kind of doing all the things, including dance at the time also at the same time. So they all kind of like fueled each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you picked up the saxophone. What do you feel like your first experience was? Like when you first played that sound, you know? How was that for you?
I don't remember the very first time, but I do know that I had like the sound in my head already, because I just grew up like listening to saxophone based music. Like my dad liked to listen to that music. He liked listening to like smooth jazz, but also bands like Steely Dan and like Chicago. Yeah, where it's like
Chicago.
Big horn sections. So I got like, I had that sound in my head, and my mom said that I thought it looked cool and that it was shiny. So I was like attracted to that. So I just remember like really thinking I was so cool for like playing saxophone. I was like, this is dope. Like I'm a girl, and like I didn't pick flute, I didn't pick clarinet or like whatever else. I was like, I play saxophone.
That's dope. I love that.
Yeah.
It's like be different.
Yeah.
So you said that your dad was always having this type of background music. So did he play any instruments himself?
He played a little guitar.
Okay.
But by the time I was born, he didn't even have one anymore. Like he just, I mean, to this day, like he'll pick up my guitar and he's like playing chords, like he's like playing songs. He never really lost it. He just didn't really, it was kind of like a hobby that he had dropped for a little while, but
it comes like organic to him.
Yeah, like he just really likes music. But I'm the first like real like kind of career musician in my whole family. So it definitely wasn't something that anybody expected.
Yeah.
But because of their musical tastes, it's like it's not surprising.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it definitely, so just so everyone knows the backstory and how I found this wonderful person, shout out to Pier 115 Bar and Grill.
Yeah.
It was June 20th of last year, and shout out to Lola. It was her birthday. And I remember we were just chilling, and like anybody who's been to Pier 115, like especially in the summer, you can sit outside the patio, they have couches, like it's mad fun. So I think somebody was spinning because there was a DJ, and
my friend Autrimo.
Yeah,
Shout out DJ Autrimo.
DJ what? Autrimo, yes, definitely was playing house music, and I'm a house music connoisseur. I love house music. So when Shorty came out with the saxophone, I was like, oh my God. I was just like, wow, this is so cool. So cool. I mean, the most I've seen during like house music performances or any type of house music setting is like drums. One time, Dope Set by Dubfire's wife or girlfriend or whoever she was, she came out in a violin.
That's sick, yeah.
But like cool. The saxophone, I remember I was just sitting in the couch and, you know, Gabi was just doing her thing, going up and down. And like, I remember I asked for your Instagram at the end because we chilled for a while. We were drinking shots, we ate some food. Like, we were just hanging out.
Yeah, you guys were hanging.
And like, I was just like, yo, like, this is too good to like not try to see, like, you know, I was just like, oh man, I got to get her on my show. So I was just like, I'm so excited to like have you here now. And like, this is literally like what, 6 months later? Like,
yeah, pretty much. That was in
lap around the sun.
It was in like July or August, something like that. Oh, it was in June.
Was June.
Oh, okay.
It was my friend's birthday, and I was just like, oh shit. So yeah, she was playing saxophone, vibing with the house music. And I think, not that I know that's what made it different, because every time I've experienced someone playing sax, it was always in a jazz club.
Right.
I've never seen someone play jazz and follow up with house music.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is cool. This is really cool.
I mean, I think sax is so, and that's something I never knew either until I started doing it a few years ago. Sax is so good with house music, first of all. But sax is like good with a lot of different genres. And I think it did surprise me too, because most people are used to hearing it in jazz, R&B definitely, and like then back in the 80s,
or like the military.
Yeah,
like it's very like
for
a
sure.
conservative sound almost.
Exactly. I think like the craziest it got for a lot of people as far as like entering into the pop music world was some of those rock bands in the 80s, and like how Bruce Springsteen used it. You know, you heard it all over.
Shout out to Bruce Springsteen. Jersey. Exactly.
And so it's really been fun to experiment with different musical styles, and to also like see people's reaction like that, where they're like, oh my God, I've never seen this before.
Nah.
Like that's a special moment too. Like I don't think about it so much because I do it all the time. And us being from New Jersey, New York, like it is starting to become something that people have seen before at least once, but we're in New Jersey, New York. Like this is like the hub of so much creative art. But for a lot of people, like, and especially around the world, like they've never seen anything like that. So, you know, it's still, I have to like remember to be grateful for where I'm at, no matter where I'm at in my career, just to be able to do something that somebody can like smile at and just you know, make people have fun.
On top of that, you're a girl doing it. Not even, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like most guys, not one thing. I'm not a guy hater, but the fact that like
we're not guy haters.
No, we're not. And I'm always gonna say that. I don't hate men. I hate some of them. But my main thing is women always have to work harder. Women always have to do the same job and get paid less. Women always have to go the extra mile. So when I see a woman doing something different, I'm always going to stand behind it. Like one thing about Mina Mendoza is like I'm a feminist. I'm all about women empowerment. I say it almost in every episode. So I feel like talk your shit, girl, because a lot of times like when you think of saxophone players, just how you mentioned it before, what was his name? Kenny G, a guy.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Famous guy player. Not to knock his talent, because he has talent.
Sure, yeah.
But I'm like, you don't, talk your shit, girl. Yes.
Thank
you're a woman.
I have had to work really hard, and it's
a lot of convincing. It's like, can you see what I can do?
Well, I'll tell you what. It's like, I find myself kind of, I don't think about it as a crutch. I use like being a woman in this business and playing an instrument like that. I just think it's a cool experiment, and I use it as a tool because, to be honest, like I know the hours that I've put in, but not everybody knows that. But once they hear, like, you know, if you want to, some people, they don't want to respect you until you show them something. You know, I'm the kind of person that like, I respect everybody until you give me a reason not to, which hopefully that doesn't have to happen. I respect everybody. And the fact of the matter is
the benefit of the doubt.
Absolutely. Because I mean, especially in a professional or a creative space, like if we're both here together, I automatically have respect for you, especially because I know that you've worked hard to get here too. But some people just don't have that. It's like they don't want to respect you until you give them a reason to. And for me, like, that's no problem, because then fine, you're gonna hear me play and you're gonna know like I busted my ass. So I don't need to like work too hard to prove it when I'm proving it every day by working really hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good way of thinking about things, because I feel like once you work in like any type of entertainment business, you are put in the spotlight to be criticized, critiqued. Like it's gonna be great. It might be horrible. There might be some in between things, but like you have to have thick skin.
Oh yeah.
Not take it personal. Learn how to adapt and evolve. Learn how to, because in the end of the day, that person's entitled to feel how they want to feel, just how you're entitled to feel how you want to feel. Both sides are valid. Now, the way I see that is like, if it takes more to gain your respect, I'm not gonna want to hang with you so much.
Yeah.
But
we do our job and we leave. That's it.
Like I'm not gonna feel some type of way about it. You know what I mean? It's not gonna hurt me. I'm not gonna lose sleep at night. But I'm gonna remember that, and I'm gonna know that that's not someone that I don't have to impress you.
No,
you know what I mean? You're just gonna see what I do, and that will go from there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because if you spend too much time, I've thought about this a lot too, as I know you have also. It's like, if you spend too much time trying to prove yourself to people like that, then that's time that's being taken away from just sharing it with people who actually do appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you're never gonna love yourself.
Or yourself. Yeah. The most important thing. It's so true.
Yes. So I see a little bit of activity in the check-in right now, just because I see some faces moving on the screen. Go ahead and oh, sorry. Just gonna see what's going on. Shout out to Blaze. Shout out to Ghost. Shout out to Amanda. Yes, on the squad. So let's continue with the interview, love, because I'm loving the vibes. I feel like it's super positive. So I also see that you sing and write. How do you find inspiration to write a song?
Writing has been like, it's been more of a priority for me the last like year or so. So I've thought about this a lot, like what is going to keep me inspired?
Yeah.
I think just, you know, the easy answer is just it's the regular things in life that like keep me inspired for sure. Like even a situation or trauma that happened years ago, a lot of times it kind of manifests itself in a different spot in my mind, like years later sometimes, in a way that I can like artistically talk about it.
Yeah.
But ultimately, writing feels so good that I want to make it like a habit. Like it's something that sometimes I don't really feel like doing. Like you're not always going to be inspired, but I find what makes me more inspired is like showing up more often. So like writing in a journal like as much as possible, if not every day.
Journaling is positive.
It's, I mean, yes, and that's part of it. It's like, okay, this could serve me as a songwriter and an artist, but it also just serves me as like a human being. So I find doing that keeps my creative mind moving, and it keeps me thinking about things that I'm experiencing in life, thinking about them more critically. Like, how can I kind of not analyze the situation, but reflect on it? And I think that's why writing is healing. So for me, what inspires me is kind of like looking at life in that way. Like, how can I just like look at this like an artist in a way? You know what I'm saying?
I love that. I love that you brought the topic about journaling, because I'm a big fan of journaling. I like write notes on my phone. That's like, yo, whoever finds my phone and reads my notes, they're gonna think I'm crazy. They'd be like, yo,
same.
What?
Same.
Like because I really do write what's on my mind. Like
it's great.
Sometimes like even when I don't want to respond to a text, I'll respond to it in a note so that I don't go overboard. I'm like, you know what? Let me just write it here, look at it, and decide then if I want to send it before I react so impulsive. I'm very impulsive. So I think it's funny that I love the way, not funny, I love the way you talk about journaling, because like I love to journal.
That's awesome.
It took me a while to understand and know how healing it is. But it's, you know what's the best part of journaling? Have you ever like looked back? And it's like bad, buddy. I'd be like, yo, dear journal, or like you just write the date. Tuesday was a bitch. Fuck Joey. Fuck this, you know what I mean? And then like you can laugh about it.
Oh my God.
Later. That's the best. Oh my God, girl. I found a journal from when I was like in 8th grade. I was like, yo, who was I? Who was I?
I need to find like my diary from when I was young. I would love to see that.
And make a TikTok video. Yo, I found a diary from like the 2000s. Like, yo, crazy.
I bet my parents have it somewhere.
Oh my God.
And I'm going to find it. I bet they've read it, you know, and they're thinking the same thing.
If they saw it and know what it is, they read it. They read it. They definitely read it. I mean, but it's like, I love that. I love that you talk about journaling. It's just like, because I think about it, and like I read my journals back, and I'm like, wow, I was going through some shit, but I'm over here living.
Even if you look at it from like a few months ago, like, well, first of all, it's funny, but also I mean, for me, the only reason why I've gone back and looked is because sometimes, like, in my journal, I'll, like, not highlight, but, like, underline certain things. Yeah. Well, that was when I used to do it by hand. I don't really do it by hand anymore because I find it's easier. I keep up with it more often when I do it on my phone. But I'll, like, make notes of, oh, that was, like, a really good idea. Like, come back to that. So that's the only reason why I'll read it again. And I'm purposely trying to not read the whole thing and only read, like, the starred parts. But my eyes go to it. And I'm like, oh, God. I'll be like, waking up in the morning, like, I'm so anxious today. I'm so tired. Oh, I have to do this. It's like my whole to-do list and like all my worries.
Why does this keep happening on Wednesdays?
Yeah, right?
Like, yo, I'm dead.
You know what's cool though? I think also going back in a journal would make you realize that all those things that you might have been worrying about that day that you were journaling about, like they all worked out.
Oh yeah.
So that's actually a beautiful thing that you can like get out of that is like we get through everything. You know,
absolutely.
Like the world is okay even when things feel like the world is going to end because of something that you're going through.
Listen, unless you're gonna die at that moment, like, problems always suck, but we will prevail. Like, this too shall pass. And that's one of the main things. So, like, when you talk about journaling, like, or songwriting, who do you feel like is one of your favorite songwriters in, like, the music industry when you think of songwriters?
I love... Well, I think some of, like, the people that I fell in love with the most as far as, like, songwriting in particular were probably Erykah Badu.
Ooh, love that.
And then, and then even as far, like, on the other side as, like, Nirvana and Foo Fighters.
You know what's crazy? I was thinking, well, Nirvana, Foo Fighters, they're, like, same because after Kurt Cobain died.
Yeah. I mean, I'm such a Dave Grohl fan. Like, I just love his life.
You gave me that vibe because I was thinking, I swear to God, I was thinking about, like, Kurt Cobain's lyrics. And when you were talking, I was like, I love Kurt Cobain because I feel like when he writes lyrics, it's so random but so deep. And he was like, fuck.
Yes.
Like, Polly, like, little people don't know that song's about heroin.
Yes.
But it's so, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, it's that. The style, it's like,
I just saw an old video, like, well, obviously it's an old video because, you know, rest in peace, but there was a video of him, he was getting interviewed just, like, on the street, and he was saying, he was like, I don't understand why people talk about my songwriting like it's, you know, some, I don't want to quote him, but he was pretty much just trying to say all his lyrics, like, people love them and they attribute deep meanings to them, and he's like, but I'm just, like, writing what comes to mind. But it is deep meaning. Like, I think he'll say, or he said, like, it wasn't deep. He was just kind of writing what's on his mind. But that's why we journal. And that's like, every time I've written a song, I look back on those lyrics and I'm like, what was I thinking? Like, I don't remember doing it. Like, I just remember it coming to me and me kind of, like, working it out in the context of the melody and the music or whatever. But it's not like we're doing it intentionally. But that's the beautiful thing, is it is coming from some deeper meaning, even if it's sort of subconscious or, like, on the side, you know?
I mean, you talking about, like, jumping to the other side of music, just because I got reminded right now from us speaking, you know Jim Morrison, The Doors. So I recently saw, not recently because I've been saw the movie, but I recently saw it again. Like 2 days ago, it was playing, like, in one of the movie channels. And it's crazy because it's like, when you look back at Jim Morrison's life, he never wanted to be in a band. He never wanted to sing or anything like that. And his pianist in the band, who he knew for so long at Venice Beach, that's how they all know each other from Cali, Jim just dropped out of film school because he sucked, and unfortunately. And he was just like, I don't know, man, I've been writing poetry, you know? And his pianist is like, he's like, but I can't sing. And he was like, well, Bob Dylan can't sing either. And you know what I mean? So it's just like, it was the positivity about it. He was like, you could just make it your own. And I felt like what was beautiful, he was just like, yeah, so, like, just read me one of your poems. And the poems that he read to him by the beach was Moonlight Drive. And it's crazy because, like, if you look at Jim Morrison's style of singing, he it wasn't, like, the best singing voice, but he had a voice that could put people in a trance.
Right.
You know, and that's what gravitated the music industry towards him, because he was playing at Whiskey A Go Go and people were, like, in the audience, like, they were like, whoa, who's this guy? Like, putting these people in, like, hypnosis and stuff like that. So I feel like songwriting, it's like, you could have a great voice, but it really depends on those lyrics sometimes, you know what I mean, to make an impactful song.
I think yes, you're absolutely right. But I think what even comes in the translation between, like, an artist and, like, their audience, the lyrics are important, I think, for the artist first, even, because the art, like, people are hearing, like, the music and they're hearing the melody. People aren't always understanding what, like, the lyrics. A lot of times when you, like, hear a song for the first time, you don't really know what they're saying, right? But you're like, oh, but I still really like this song. It's because the artist is believing in their lyrics so deeply that it's the way they're performing it, and that's what you're hearing first. And then that's what hooks you, and then you might be like, I want to listen to that song again, or I want to find out what he's trying to say. Then the lyrics make sense. It's the way somebody like Jim Morrison was like, believing and conveying what he was writing that hooked people, and then they started to like kind of understand like what he's writing about, I guess. So I think it's actually kind of like what you're saying is like you don't have to be like the best singer, or you don't even have to come from such like a deep musical background, but if you're really in touch with like your feelings and can get that down in lyric form with a group of people who can help you like actually make it into a song, like that is really all you need. You just need to like be believable.
Facts.
Yeah,
absolutely. And rest in peace, Jim Morrison. Great one gone. Oh, I love this interview so far, love. But one thing I want people to do is how you play. So if you don't mind, I would love for you to like, I know you said you were gonna do what you were gonna do, so
well, I'll just like play
comfy.
a little something, you know?
So
and now our feature presentation.
So good vibes. What we're gonna do right now, guys, is have the beautiful Gabi Rose perform us basically something organic, just completely in the moment.
Yeah.
We're gonna play something live. This is a Mina Mendoza show exclusive. We live, Bravery Studios.
All right, I'm gonna keep it like this because it's gonna be loud. It's gonna be like louder than my voice.
The mic.
If I move it like right into the sax, it's gonna like blast out.
Oh snap!
Yeah.
All right,
so I'm just gonna like play something that you guys are gonna know. Sing along from home. We could like snap along. Let's get like a snap going.
Let's go. So good. So good. Shout out. Well,
if you guys have any requests, I can do a little snippet of it too.
She could definitely do it all. So many versions of that song from like I don't know who sang it originally, but I know Lauryn Hill had that cover.
Who was the original? Oh, it was
Frankie Valli. Frankie Valli. I was like Frank Sinatra, Frank something.
Yeah.
But yes, that was beautiful.
Thank you. Anything else you want to hear? Or?
Well, I'm curious. How long you gotta hold your breath? How does that work?
It's kind of like singing. Like you can't breathe while the sound is actually coming out.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's a whole different thing. Circular breathing. There is a technique for that, but you kind of just have to take breaths in between phrases. So it's just like how when you sing, you wouldn't just be like, oh, pretty baby, na 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 na. Like you have to breathe somewhere. So you kind of like pick the spot, like, oh, pretty baby, don't let me down, I pray. Oh, pretty baby, now that I found you, stay. And you can like, you kind of like phrase it around what you're trying to say. So I find like playing saxophone is very much like singing in that way. So when I'm practicing singing or whether I'm practicing sax, it's that breath control that like I'm constantly working on.
Love that.
If that answers your question.
I'm like getting like, I'm just experiencing myself picture. I don't know if my lungs would be so good for it, but it's so cool. Like even looking at this instrument, like obviously like
she's a gem.
Yeah, like this shit is dope. Like I'm looking at like the roses or like flower lotus.
It's got beautiful engravings.
Damn. Saxophone man. I've seen like, I don't know if you remember Let's go.
I got you.
Yes. We play that little snippet all the time in the show, so it's so dope.
You are watching a master at
Do you
work.
really?
We do.
That's awesome.
We do. And like it's so dope to hear it like live.
Yeah. Hit me up. I'll make a cameo whenever you want.
Yeah, so we got to think of like a third one. What's a third good song that we could do? So far we have a classic in there. We're doing an R&B song. Let's see. What about let's do a little just shout out to Carrie Ann. She was my guest on my show. She loved Green Day so much. You could do a little Green Day cover.
Oh yeah.
I'll let you pick whichever one. This is for you, Carrie Ann.
Right? I'm like only doing the chorus. How does the verse go?
Which song you going for?
I'm doing man, what is that song name?
Basket Case?
Basket Case.
Yeah, that's my favorite song.
I have to, honestly, I don't know that much Green Day.
It's just like, do you have the time to listen to me once?
There you go.
One of those. I've done it. Sometimes the creeps. Sometimes I might play tricks on me. That was dope. That was so
I gotta
cool.
get the guitar riff down.
That was awesome. Once you like said it, I was like, wait, I know where you're at. I got you. All right, that was awesome, love. So we're gonna take a little break, get you comfy. That was awesome. That was completely organic. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
That was such a great time. Not only does she sing, she songwrites. She's an instrument virtuoso player because you play sax, you play the flute.
I play and then I write music on like guitar, piano, a little bit of bass. I'm trying to learn like everything.
Yeah, I saw you in your Instagram. You were doing like the guitar riffs. I remember that. Yeah, so let's get you comfy, baby girl.
Sure.
Get you, we're gonna get into a little now this is like I feel like the half of the show where we get like into a little bit of randomness questions, a little bit of fun questions. But before we get into that, we're gonna allow Gabby to get comfortable, put her sax down. So I guess before we get into the fun part of the questions, but can you tell us about an experience or performance that you had that you were like, oh shit, something's wrong? And what did you learn from that experience?
Things. Oh, thank you. You'd think I would know as a singer. I'm used to having it. So as far as if anything, wrong has happened, things go wrong all the time. So I'm definitely used to just kind of adapting and let's say we mess up something so bad and we bomb, or if somebody whatever it is. Yeah. I'm very used to correcting mistakes and being on my toes. But I will say I don't really I went to this audition a few years ago, and I didn't, even back then, I wasn't auditioning at that point in my career. I was just kind of starting and going to gigs, and it wasn't formal auditions. I hadn't done that since I was doing musical theater in high school and college. So I had an audition as just for somebody, a name in the music industry for sure. And I think I was just really nervous about it and maybe a little bit even unprepared because I didn't want to face it. Yeah. And I wouldn't say I bombed, but I choked up. You know what it feels like to get nervous and you just kind of clench up. For me, you cannot sing under that kind of it's impossible.
Can't do your best at any condition like that.
But your voice just won't work the way it's supposed to work. And I think obviously auditions are hard, and a lot of times it's you leave feeling oh man, I only had one shot, I could have done better. But doing that made me realize that preparation and not being nervous and not clenching up when I'm performing. It's all about preparation. And that's exactly why I don't get that nervous on a lot of the gigs that I do, is because I am constantly like working hard and like practicing and showing up prepared, that I'm like, I got this. Yeah. I can, you know, for a situation like that, that was kind of not as familiar to me. I think it was an opportunity to like learn. So I'm, like I said, I'm good at correcting when something goes wrong, but I think preparation is like, is key even when you don't expect things. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I love that, because I feel like definitely auditions would get me nervous. It's like, oh my God, I got to convince this person, and like other
it's
people
scary.
are auditioning too. So it's like, what's going to make you different? I think I would just kind of really go in there being myself. I would just like start a random conversation. I'm like, I'm grateful to be here, you know.
Totally. And I
don't know. I'll break the ice somehow. So
and
they'll remember
that's
me.
Exactly. That's really important. And I think that was even when I was a little bit too even timid, you know. I went into it almost too nervous. Now I think years later, if I went into the same exact situation, I think I would do it a lot differently, and I would feel a lot more confident.
Okay.
You know?
Love that.
Yeah,
It's all growth.
Definitely does make sense. So what I want people to do is where to find you, love. So if you could give out your Instagram handle,
Sure.
Anything, where to find you, any performances that you have, like, you know, setting up in the future, especially into the new year, so people could like, you know, follow you and anything like that, you know.
Sure.
Let us know.
So you guys can find me on Instagram, TikTok, at Gabi Rose Music. That's GABIROSE Music. I also, my next show is January 6th, downtown in Manhattan at a place called Arlene's Grocery. So we're playing at night with a couple other amazing bands and friends of ours. And it's my band, N Rose. So it's original music that I wrote. It's kind of a mix of like R&B and rock and pop. And you could also find us on Spotify at N Rose, ENROSE. Spotify and all the other things.
Love that. All the vibes. So definitely everyone go follow her. Also, anyone who's watching, please like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We keep things going. So we're going to get into some random questions, loud love. So now that we're getting into like the new year, do you feel like you have, because the new year is literally like what, this Saturday, I think, Saturday night. Do you have any New Year's Eve resolutions? Do you even make them?
I do make them. And I've tried to make ones that, like, the past couple years that have been a little bit easier for me to kind of stick to. Do I have one this year? This sounds so cliche, but it's honestly to continue my health and fitness journey. Okay. Everyone starts out the year strong like that, but I think what makes it really realistic for me, and why I do actually want to identify that as being a resolution, is because I did like get back into it like in August. I just realized like, wow, for the past like few years I've been putting work over like my health, and I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to do that shit anymore. So I've been actually like good about it, and I think I just want to get better about that next year.
Okay.
So cliche, but
let's see where she's at in
that's
February.
The truth.
Like, let's see where we're at.
I know, we'll see.
Yeah.
But no, I've been good about it. So I feel like okay, this isn't like a pipe dream. Like this is like this is my life.
Okay.
So.
It's good to stay consistent, you know, but also be like real with yourself.
Yeah.
Like don't make some like resolution that is like not realistic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Do you have one?
I feel like I make the same one every year, and it's basically to be someone that I want to be best friends with.
Yeah.
It's just positive vibes.
That's great.
You know what I mean? Good
that
vibes.
Covers everything that's like important. Like that's great.
Yeah, positive vibes. I always do it every year. I'm like, Jazz, but Mina, like, you know, just be someone that you want to be best friends with. Be someone great. And mistakes happen, but make something out of the mistakes, and just know that, you know, life isn't perfect, but you're doing the best you can.
Totally.
You know, so it's always good vibes. That's what I learned, is like to be kinder to yourself and also to others. Is zero money to be kind. Yeah. Zero. So that's what I'm trying to like work on and like hopefully pass on to others, you know, positive vibes.
Absolutely.
So New Year resolutions. So yeah, that part. So what's something that we don't mind leaving behind this year that has happened?
I think what I definitely want to leave behind is self-doubt, just as a whole.
Self-doubt.
Because self-doubt is such a negative energy that I think I carried around a little bit too much, and there's no place for it.
I want to leave Karen behind. I'm like, yo, this Karen.
And Karen.
Yo, this whole Karen vibe.
Let's leave Karen
Leave
behind
her behind.
first.
Like, can Karen be a new positive name? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
I feel bad for Karens out there.
Yo, facts. That
who
name.
are cool.
I looked it up. That name is the most least named of 2021.
Out of all the names.
Yeah, because of like the
so
controversy that it
sad.
created.
Yeah, of
I feel
course.
like a nurse would be like, yo, she named her baby Karen, stupid. Like, yo, low-key. Like, low-key, they say that in
I
the
know.
background. Like,
Yeah, they're
no
like,
one.
oh, God. Does
Like,
she
if you go
know?
to school and your name's Karen nowadays,
Yeah,
no, forget
you're
about
done.
it. Done.
I feel so bad.
Be like,
for
call me K.
Karens.
Call me K.
Who started that? Like, who is responsible
It started
for
definitely
ruining the name Karen?
some crazy lady during COVID 2020. That's when I feel like I saw it coming
Yeah.
out, you know, with the whole mask. But that's another topic that I don't want to get into. Like, I feel like it gets so deep.
I know.
So let's transition. So this is actually fun because I was thinking about this myself. If you could pick one superpower, what would it be and why?
I always, and I don't even think.
And
this
you
is-
can have an honorable mention too, just in case if you're in between both.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna pick my one that is probably not even a great answer, but it's just something that it's just my number one.
Okay.
I always wanted to have like stretchy limbs. You know,
I'm
like when you're sitting
dead.
down.
What superhero was called that?
In The Incredibles.
Yeah.
The mom, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
That was the mom. She was able to like stretch herself. When I saw that movie, I was like, yes. I was like, this is the best power.
But what would you stretch to? Like what would you? Why would you want that power?
Because then I just feel like I could have control over so many things. Like I could be like I could be
she
making
wants
myself
stretch
coffee in the
and
other room
extra
right now.
limbs. Because that's what I'm getting.
Yeah, like,
limbs and stretchiness.
I want to like be able to get like really big, or like I think she could even like maybe shrink herself and get really little. I don't know. I'm imagining that. But like I want to be able to like take really big steps so you could stretch your legs and then like pretty much like walk like a giant, you know, because your legs are so long.
Okay.
There's a lot of benefits to it. The one power I don't think that I would want, even though it would probably be the most powerful power, would be mind reading. Because I don't think that I would handle that well.
Yeah.
I don't think I want to know. But it's probably the most useful power when you think about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely mind reading. That's one that I feel like everybody wants, but it's scared to want.
Yeah, like,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
It's like
Like,
wild.
be careful what you wish for, because I think if you had that, you wouldn't want it anymore.
Yes. So Gabi Rose wants to stretch.
I want to be able
She
to
wants to
stretch my
stretch.
limbs and just get
I'm
really
dead.
long.
She wants to play 10 saxophones at the same time.
Yeah.
Like so many versions of
Or
it.
play like the biggest saxophone because my fingers are so long.
I'm done. Yo, let's make it happen. If I had to pick one superpower,
Yes, I want to hear yours.
I would love to. I had two, so I have one and I have an honorable mention. So my first superpower, because I thought about mind reading, but then I was like, damn, would I feel comfortable hearing things that I don't want to hear all the time? Like, is there a shut off button to this? So I thought, what kind of fixed it? I was like, I would love to know every language in the world.
Oh, that's really cool.
And then I would love to talk to animals too. Like
Yes.
Eliza Thornberry. Have you ever seen the Wild Thornberries?
Oh, yeah.
So Eliza Thornberry vibes. I would love to speak every language. And then I would love to go to the nail salon to see what the fuck they be talking about. Yo, deadass. But I would go in there for 2 months. 2 months. Incognito. And just observe and gather notes. Like, listen, Nick, I heard you
Yeah.
a month ago.
Yes.
Listen.
You take your inventory, your
facts.
arsenal of information and
Facts.
shit talk, whatever they're talking about, because I don't know.
And then I would go and like, yo, imagine if you could talk to an animal, like, yo, the stories and shit that they would fucking tell you.
Yeah, that would be so sick.
Like, yo, I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine.
Yeah,
so,
like I wonder what like, a dog is thinking, especially versus a cat. Cats are definitely thinking.
Like, I hate my odor.
Oh yeah, cats are definitely sitting there and they're just like making fun of us. I bet they're just like this fucking dumbass owner of like this human. They're definitely like looking down on us all the time, cats, and we have no idea.
All the time, I'm dead. But that's definitely one. And my honorable mention was to be invisible.
That's a good one.
Because it's like, again, it falls into that mind reading. Like, okay, like I can know what's happening, but I don't want them, like, I don't want to be too in the know of what's happening. So I'm like, if I'm invisible, I could freaking sneak into the White House.
Yeah.
You know? But then, like, I don't know. Like, that was my two. I was like, I want to be invisible because I don't want to do I can fly.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I'm like, that's not safe. I'm like, yo, if a human being starts to fly in the sky, I'm not sure.
I'm out.
The government will
find
find you.
If I see that, I'm out.
That, and the government will find you. They'll be like, yo, so we saw a flying human.
That's true. You do put a big target on your back
Absolutely.
by having a power like that.
They're gonna like try to breed you. They're gonna figure X-Men shit. Like they're gonna try to like.
They're gonna weaponize you.
Absolutely. So that's
like,
what I'm saying.
For real.
Me talking to animals, cognito.
Yeah.
Me knowing every language, really smart. Like,
yeah, right. They're just like, oh my god, yeah, she's a genius.
Super, like, just that's what I want to be, incognito. So definitely. So let me know, anybody that's in the check-in, what is a superpower that you always wanted, and shout out to Friday Super. I feel like this is a question that you guys should ask on your show. And maybe ask yourselves. I'm pretty interested on that.
Yeah.
I was looking at the logo. So shout out to them. They're actually coming on at 8 o'clock. So, all right, let's transition real quick. So if you could go back to a time in music, what would it be and why?
Like a decade in music, you mean?
Yeah, a decade in music. Like, would you stay where you are? Would you go back? Like,
I would go back. So I was born in 95.
Okay.
I would go back and be born in like, I would want to be born in like 79 and be right then I would be like kind of a teenager in the mid 90s. Right? I'd be 25.
Yeah, you would be 15 because if you were born,
or if I was born in the 80s,
you would be 15 at 1995 or 14, 15.
That's what I want.
Yeah.
Okay. I think the music industry at that point in time was like the best.
Why?
Because I feel like it was pre-internet, but the technology was also starting, like the music technology was starting to like be really good. But it was pre-internet, so there wasn't. But even like early in 2000s, the internet was starting to come up, you know. And then not too long after, we had like MySpace and bands getting like big on MySpace. But before the noise, I think like where it was like
Napster.
Well, Napster was like when was that? That was late 90s, or no? That must have been already early 2000s.
I think it was like after. Yeah, it had to be in 2000s. Couldn't be late 90s. I feel like maybe late 90s. Who knows? It probably was invented 1999 and didn't go viral until Napster. I feel like didn't go viral until maybe I was 10 years old, 11, something like that. So maybe 2001, 2002.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
I would want to be at like
because you definitely needed Windows 98 for that.
Yeah,
that you needed that. You definitely needed that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
can't forget about that.
Jesus.
I just feel like that time before the internet was like such a clusterfuck, which it's still obviously very useful, but it's part of our ingrained lives. Whereas back then, if you were an artist, you kind of just went, however you got there, everybody was different, but it's like at that time, you would sign to a label and they would put your music in stores with physical copies of CDs, and it was like, I feel like it was just like the golden age because, and obviously, you know, how would I know? But like the technology was good and there were great bands that came out of the 90s too. The whole grunge era, like 90s. And I just feel like before the internet or just when the internet was first starting, that would have been such a a monumental time to pop off as a musician. And then you could just ride the wave, hopefully, for the rest of your career. Because the difference is now there's so many artists, amazing artists, which I'm so happy that I do feel happy that I can, as an artist today, kind of make music, and it's in an affordable way. I don't need a record label. That's the beautiful thing about today. But if you could do it back then, it's like there's just not as much noise. And I feel like also because there were less artists back then, the artists that were really big back then kind of leave a little bit more of a legacy, whereas now you're seeing so many artists all the time that I'm wondering who's going to be like the legacy kind of acts that people remember for
I was thinking about
centuries.
That too. Like with music, like there's always like an impactful group or a couple that every decade like it impacts the music, so like I don't know, when I think of 90s like impactful groups were definitely like Nirvana, because they like led the whole grunge Seattle vibe. But you also had Red Hot Chili Peppers that brought that California vibe that were like super chill. And then like even like rap and hip hop, like that, even like if you even want to talk about like how music was passed along back in the day, like back in the day it was a mixtape.
Yes.
Yeah. It was like whoever held that holy grail of a mixtape, that's how like artists got known back in the day, like at least with hip hop and stuff. So like I feel like that definitely was like, you're making me think right now, that was like a super experimental, like it's like a very word of mouth type of vibe, so it was like super organic, super more exclusive, like you actually had to investigate to like find the artist.
There was a lot of mystery. Now it's almost like you might not even want to go for mystery because you want to be able to get people to know you, like you want to post on TikTok, want to, so it's the mystery is definitely, it's not even close to where it used to be back then, because like it was just different. We didn't have the internet.
Do you think if Kurt Cobain was alive today, would he be on TikTok?
That is such a funny question.
Because he was so against being popular. Like sometimes I think like, damn, all the artists that sampled his music, would he be turning in his grave or would he be into it?
I think he would be into it because, so Dave Grohl talks about this in his book, and he's talked about it in some interviews. Even though Kurt Cobain and, Nirvana just in general, they kind of were very heavily inspired by like the punk movement, which is anti-establishment, anti-fame.
Anarchy, all that.
Kurt Cobain would say, I want to be the biggest band in the world. He said that to his record label. So I think it's also, it was his vice, like it was the fame that also ultimately like made life really difficult for him.
Yeah.
But he did want to be the biggest band in the world. So I think Kurt Cobain would be on TikTok. And that would be really interesting.
That would be interesting. I wonder, I feel like he would, I don't know. I think of this day, like, what would he do? He'd be like, what? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, he would be
random.
doing, I think he would be doing it in the Kurt Cobain way, not like the, hey, like, not in like, I think he would need to find a way, and there's so many like talented songwriters and musicians that I follow that they don't need to say a word. They just get on with their guitar and they play, and people are like, oh my God, wow. So I think it would be kind of like that. He'd just be like sharing his songs.
Oh.
Yeah.
Very deep shit. Very deep shit. I love it. Love it. 90s vibes. 90s vibes forever. 90s vibes forever. So just because we're getting towards the end of our show, love, if you could like share your Instagram handle right now, and also if you want to give out any shout outs, so because it's your time to give it before the show ends.
Sure. Well, thank you for having me, first of all. If you guys want to follow me, you can find me at Gabi Rose Music on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube. That's GABIROSE Music. I'm sure it's written down anyway. But then you could also check out my original music. My band is called Enrose, ENROSE. We're playing a show in New York City at Arlene's Grocery on January 6th. And we're also releasing new music that day, too. So if you follow us on Spotify or Apple Music or wherever you listen, you will hear it first.
Love that. Love that. Love all the vibes. Everybody that checked in with us, thank you so much. Remember to like, share, and subscribe the channel. Also, thank you, Gabi Rose, for venturing out here. This was definitely a dope experience. I love the fact that...
For me, too.
Oh, love that. Love that. Was this your first interview?
No, but this actually was my first one that was like in a studio like this, I think since maybe pre-COVID, because a lot of people are still just doing it remotely. So this was cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
A whole vibe. So yeah, Shorty came through, brought her saxophone, did her thing, played 3 type of songs organically, which I appreciate that so much. I
course,
can't wait to
yeah.
make clips of it. But yeah, I'm just like very thankful, like us going into the new year. Like I just want to tell everyone, like I hope everyone has like super safe and just like dope vibes into like the brand new year. Like as I get older, I think to myself, like, yo, life's really short, like super short. Well, it could be short if you want it to be, you know, but one thing about life that like I keep reminding myself, especially when I try to be a little lazy pants and shit, I think to myself, I'm like, listen, you die once, but you live every day. So make every day fucking count. So when I try to like, I tell myself when I'm making content or like if I feel like I'm not doing something, I'm like, nah, Mina, do that shit right now. Make today count.
Yeah.
You can have a couple lazy days, you know, mental
Sure.
health is real. But what I do want to say to my viewers is just like going into the new year, remind yourself that life is not guaranteed.
Yeah.
Do the best you can, but truly tell yourself, did I go above and beyond for myself today? You know, think about yourself, whether it was taking a great shower, whether it was doing your hair, whether it was picking out a great outfit, whether it was being a great friend, whether it was being a great person or general, whatever. Always ask yourself, did I go above and beyond for myself today? So going into new year, fresh, spicy vibes, healthy vibes, positive vibes. I love you all. Thank you so much for this episode. And yeah, I'm out of here. It's Mina Mendoza, little girl, big personality, queen of spice.
Yes.
We out. Ow. Yes. A whole vibe.